we're looking at a practice exercise from page 126 of the textbook, taking this drawing of HY and trying to imagine what would happen if it was mixed with a substance that contained 10 sodium ions and 10 hydroxide ions. So let's take a look at substance HY. The fact that there's an H in front tells us that we're dealing with an acid. And there are two different types of acids we need to worry about: strong acids and weak acids. Strong acids are completely ionized, which means when you put them into water, when you make an aqueous solution, they completely dissociate or break apart into cations and anions, the cation always being H+, and then an anion being some other ion. A weak acid, when you put it into solution, partially dissociates, which means some of it will break apart, but most of it sticks together. So if we look at the diagram we have for HY, we can see that for this acid, everything is broken apart into ions. So we'd say for HY, this acid is completely ionized. So if we count up how many cations and anions are there, we should see that there are 8 H plus cations, and there are 8 Y minus anions. We are now combining this with 10 sodium cations and 10 hydroxide anions. So, what happens when we combine these ions? Which of these will form a new substance, and which of these are just spectator ions? From looking at acid-base reactions, we should recognize that the acid portion is the H+, and the base is the OH-. When you combine H+ and OH-, you get HOH, which we usually write as water, H2O, which means I'm going to combine the H+ and the OH- to make water. However, in this case, I don't have equal amounts. Since I have 8 H+ and 10 OH-, I'm going to have some leftover OH-. So when I do this reaction, I am going to have H+ is a limiting reactant. So only 8 waters form. I'm going to have 2 OH- left behind because I started with 10 and I only used 8 of them. So what about my Na+ and my Y-? They're not going to combine to form any compound. I know that alkali metal salts are always soluble, so nothing that combines with the sodium could possibly make an insoluble compound, which means those are still just floating in solution. So 2 OH are left behind, as well as the 10 sodium ions and the 8 Y- anions. So in this case, we just have an acid-base reaction with some spectator ions left over. Make sure you're paying attention to the limiting reactants there. The fact that we run out of H+ is the reason that we have some OH- left over.